Your kind always tries this fake first-class scam. The words slice through gate C-24 like a blade through silk. Brad Morrison, senior gate agent at O'Hare International, holds the boarding pass between two fingers as if it might contaminate him. The paper tears with a sound that makes 200 passengers turn their heads in unison. Kesha Washington's composure cracks for just a moment. Her hand trembles as she watches the pieces of her first-class ticket flutter to the ground like dying butterflies. She takes a breath that nobody else notices, then bends to collect each fragment with the precision of someone gathering evidence at a crime scene. "Security!" Brad's voice cracks with authority he doesn't actually possess. "We have a situation here." Behind them, 21-year-old Tasha Williams raises her phone. The TikTok live stream notification pings. 50 viewers become 500 in the span of a heartbeat. In row 3, investment banker Marcus Coleman recognizes the face he saw on last month's Forbes cover. Kesha straightens, tucking the torn pieces into her bag with deliberate care. Her voice wavers, then steadies. 47 minutes until departure, Brad. In exactly 31 minutes, you'll understand why this was the worst decision of your career. Can you imagine knowing exactly when your world will change? 3 hours earlier, Kesha Washington's morning unfolds in a different universe. The CEO of Meridian Capital Management calls her from Tokyo while she reviews portfolios worth $12.7 billion. Her corner office overlooks Chicago's skyline, where she controls more wealth than some small nation's GDP. "The Global Wings board meeting is tomorrow," David Hartley's voice crackles through the speaker. "Your Washington Protocol proposal is our top priority. We're counting on you to revolutionize how this industry treats passengers." She closes her laptop, gathering files that contain the future of aviation accountability. Her hand pauses on a printed email from her daughter. "Proud of you, Mom. Change the world." A reminder of why this matters beyond corporate politics. Her driver waits downstairs in the Bentley. "The private terminal, Ms. Washington?" Marcus asks, knowing her usual routine. "No, Marcus. Main terminal today. Gate C-24. She needs to see the system from the ground level to understand what ordinary passengers experience, the very passengers her protocol will protect, the decision that will change everything. Now, 45 minutes before departure, Brad Morrison examines her boarding pass with the scrutiny of someone who's already decided what he'll find. His 15 years at Global Wings have taught him to recognize types. The designer clothes don't fool him. He's seen this before, people trying to sneak into first class with counterfeit documents. But something deeper drives Brad today. This morning, his mortgage payment bounced. His daughter's college tuition is overdue. And here's someone in designer clothes trying to cheat the system while he plays by the rules. "First class?" His eyebrows arch with practiced skepticism. "On this flight? To Washington, D.C.? He holds the ticket up to the light, searching for flaws that exist only in his imagination. "I'm going to need 3 forms of identification." Kesha produces her passport, driver's license, and American Express Centurion black card. Brad studies each one, lips pursed. The passport photo matches perfectly. The license is Real ID compliant. The Centurion card gleams obsidian under the harsh airport lighting. "These look..." He pauses, savoring the moment. "Too perfect. Almost like they're professionally made." His fingers drum against the counter. "Where exactly did you get these?" The question hangs between them like a challenge. Around them, the boarding area fills with witnesses. A mother shields her daughter's eyes. A businessman pretends to check his phone while recording. Supervisor Janet Hayes materializes, summoned by Brad's theatrical concern. She's worked here 8 years, each one hardening her assumptions about who belongs where. But today is different. Her son just got rejected from law school, told his grades weren't quite enough despite being better than his white classmates who got in. The unfairness of it all has been eating at her. She takes in Keisha's appearance, the silk blouse, the designer bag, the quiet confidence, and projects her morning's frustration onto this stranger. What seems to be the problem, Brad? Suspected fraud. She claims she belongs in first class. He emphasizes claims like it's evidence itself. Janet's eyes perform a slow scan. I see what you mean. These people often try to upgrade themselves illegally. The words taste bitter even as she says them, but she's committed now. The crowd swells. Phones emerge like weapons. An elderly white woman in pearls clutches her husband's arm. This is disgraceful. Just let her board the plane. A young black man, maybe 25, shakes his head slowly. This is exactly why I drive everywhere. Exactly why. His girlfriend pulls him back, whispering urgently. Brad's voice rises, performing for his audience. Ma'am, impersonating someone of means is a federal offense. I could have you arrested right now. Impersonating? Keisha's voice cracks slightly before she steadies it. That's an interesting choice of words, Brad. Very specific. Very telling. For a moment, she almost pulls out her phone to call David Hartley, to end this immediately. But no, they need to see this through. The system needs to be exposed completely. Security arrives at the form of officers Mike Turner and Rodriguez. Turner, mid-40s with gray temples, approaches with the weariness of someone who's answered too many of these calls. Rodriguez, younger, recently promoted, eager but uncomfortable. We're going to need you to come with us for questioning, ma'am. Rodriguez adds quietly, It's protocol when documents are suspected of being fraudulent. His tone suggests he's not convinced they are. Keisha glances at her watch, a Patek Philippe worth more than Brad's annual salary. 43 minutes until departure. We're right on schedule. She speaks as if following a script only she can see, though her fingers tap nervously against her bag. Brad mistakes her nervous gesture for fear. He's won these battles before. They always fold when security arrives. But Brad Morrison is about to learn that sometimes the person who looks vulnerable is actually holding all the cards. And sometimes those cards include ownership papers for the very ground he stands on. The security office smells like burnt coffee and institutional disinfectant. Mike Turner gestures to a metal chair that's seen better decades. Empty your bag, please. Keisha complies with measured movements. Out comes the iPad Pro with its Fortune 500 apps still open, the Bowers and Wilkins earbuds, a Smithson notebook filled with handwritten strategies that will reshape aviation forever, a photo of her daughter at graduation, the personal touch that makes her human. Rodriguez picks up the notebook, flipping through pages he doesn't understand. Fancy stuff for someone committing fraud. But his tone lacks conviction. Behind him, Turner's already on Google. The search bar fills. Kesha, Washington, Meridian Capital. The screen explodes with results. Forbes 40. Under 40, her face confident and undeniable. Wall Street Journal profiles discussing her $12 billion portfolio. Bloomberg interviews where she dissects market trends with surgical precision. Mike Turner's face drains of color. Holy shit. He swallows hard, looking at his partner, then at Brad, who's followed them in. Those profiles are probably fake too. Brad's voice cracks but pushes forward. Identity theft is huge these days. People create entire false histories online. Deepfakes, AI-generated articles. But even he hears how desperate he sounds. Janet Hayes nods beside him, but less vigorously now. Doubt creeps into her eyes. We had someone last month with fake diplomatic credentials. That was different, and you know it, Rodriguez interrupts, surprising everyone. This woman hasn't raised her voice once. She's cooperated completely, and look at these search results. Brad turns on him. Whose side are you on? The side that doesn't want a lawsuit, Rodriguez responds. Keisha sits in the uncomfortable chair, fighting the urge to reveal everything now. But timing matters. The lesson must be complete. Back at gate C24, the crowd has tripled. Tasha Williams holds her phone steady, the TikTok live stream counter climbing past 1,200 viewers. Comments cascade down the screen. Y'all seeing this? They're really doing this to her in 2025. What's her name? We need to know her name. Marcus Coleman can't stand it anymore. The investment banker pushes through the crowd, his Tom Ford suit parting the masses. Excuse me, I think there's been a terrible mistake. He reaches the supervisor, holding up his own phone. I recognize this woman. She was on the cover of Forbes last month. She literally runs Meridian Capital. I've tried to get a meeting with her for 3 years. Brad wheels on him, desperation making him aggressive. Sir, please don't interfere with airline security procedures. Actually, it concerns all of us when you're violating civil rights. Marcus doesn't back down. Harvard Law didn't teach him to stay silent. The crowd murmurs approval. Someone starts recording Brad's increasingly red face. The information spreads through the crowd like wildfire. She's worth how much? Look at her LinkedIn, Jesus Christ. They're harassing a Fortune 500 executive? Janet's confidence visibly wavers. She pulls Brad aside. Maybe we should reconsider? No. Brad's too invested now. If we back down and she is a fraud, we're finished. We have to see this through. It's the gambler's fallacy. He's bet too much to fold now. Keisha reaches for her phone. One call. That's all I need to resolve this. Janet hesitates, then takes it from her hand, but gently now. I'm sorry, but it's protocol. No calls until we verify your identity. The word protocol hangs in the air like prophecy. Regional Manager Tom Richards arrives, summoned by the chaos. He's 53, recently divorced, fighting for shared custody of his kids. The last thing he needs is complications. What's this commotion? We have a flight to board. Brad straightens, emboldened. Attempted fraud, possible security threat. This woman presented suspicious documentation. Tom looks at Keisha, really looks at her for the first time. Something in her calm unsettles him. Ma'am, can you explain yourself? I can do better than that, Tom. Employee ID 447823, hired October 2019. Currently on performance improvement plan as of last quarter. She pauses. I make it my business to know who works for companies I invest in. Tom freezes. Who are you? Someone who believes in accountability. And in exactly 23 minutes, someone you're going to wish you'd treated very differently. But then her composure cracks slightly. Do you know what it's like, Tom? To succeed beyond anyone's wildest dreams and still have to prove you belong? Every single time? The vulnerability in her voice makes everyone pause. This isn't just about one incident. This is about every incident. The live stream viewer count hits 8,500. The hashtag #GateC24 starts trending in Chicago. A CNN stringer gets a text from their producer. Get to O'Hare now. Mike Turner makes a decision. He pulls out his personal phone, opens Twitter, types quickly. If you're at O'Hare Gate C24, you need to stop what's happening. They're about to make a massive mistake. Rodriguez nods approval. The right thing, he says quietly. Brad sees the doubt spreading and doubles down. I've worked here 15 years without a single complaint. It's a lie. There have been 73 complaints, all buried in HR files, all from passengers of color, all dismissed as misunderstandings. But Brad doesn't know that Keisha Washington has copies of every single one. 23 minutes until everything changes. 23 minutes until Brad Morrison learns that some torn tickets can't be taped back together. 23 minutes until Global Wings discovers what happens when you mistake a board member for a criminal. The main concourse becomes a Roman amphitheater. Keisha Washington walks through it flanked by security, but she doesn't look like a criminal. She looks like a queen approaching her coronation. Her heels click against the terrazzo floor in a rhythm that sounds like countdown. 25 minutes until departure. Hundreds of travelers stop mid-stride. A child points. "Mommy, why are the police with that lady?" The mother doesn't answer because she's already recording, already understanding she's witnessing something historic. "Shame! Shame!" The chant starts from somewhere near the Starbucks and spreads like contagion. Business travelers in $1,000 suits join teenagers in ripped jeans. Brad Morrison feels the crowd's energy shift against him. His confidence wavers. In his mind, backing down means admitting what he can't admit, that he saw a black woman and assumed she didn't belong. He reaches for the torn boarding pass pieces that Keisha collected, snatching them from her hand. "You want to see what we do with fake tickets?" The second tier is deliberate, theatrical. He rips each piece into smaller fragments, letting them fall like snow. The crowd gasps collectively. Someone screams, "That's assault!" Another voice, "That's destruction of property!" The silence that follows is deafening. Keisha kneels slowly, deliberately, gathering each piece. Her hands shake slightly, real emotion breaking through. She speaks while collecting them, her voice carrying despite its softness. Brad Morrison, Janet Hayes, Tom Richards, Mike Turner. She says each name like she's reading from a list. "I want you all to remember this moment. I want you to remember the sound of tearing paper." She stands, and for the first time, her eyes show tears she won't let fall. "My grandmother cleaned airports like this one. My mother worked 3 jobs to put me through school. I earned every cent, every degree, every board seat, and you tore it up because you couldn't imagine I belonged here." Tom Richards shifts uncomfortably. "Ma'am, if there's been a misunderstanding..." "There's no misunderstanding, Tom. You understood perfectly. You saw my skin and made a judgment." 3 floors above, in the Global Wings VIP lounge, CEO David Hartley conducts a video conference with Tokyo. His assistant, Sarah, bursts through the door without knocking. "Sir, you need to see this. Now!" She holds up her phone. The TikTok live stream fills the screen. 41,000 viewers watch Brad Morrison destroy a boarding pass while security surrounds a black woman. David's coffee mug slips from his hand. It shatters on Italian marble. His face drains of blood as recognition hits. "Oh my God, that's Keisha Washington." Sarah nods grimly. "Our newest board member, the woman who owns 15% of this airline through Meridian Capital." David's legs give out. He drops into his chair. "The Washington Protocol meeting is in 18 hours. She's the keynote speaker. What are they doing?" Back at gate C24, Keisha Washington pulls out her iPad. She opens the Global Wings executive app. Her fingers move across the screen with practiced precision. The login screen recognizes her biometrics immediately. A red banner appears. "Board member access confirmed." She navigates to emergency protocols. "System override. The nuclear option designed for catastrophic events." She types, "Override code, Washington Alpha 001, a confirmation prompt appears. This action will halt all Global Wings operations system-wide. Confirm? She hesitates. Thousands of passengers are about to be inconvenienced. But then she looks at the torn ticket pieces in her hand. How many other torn tickets have there been? How many other people humiliated, turned away, made to feel less than? She confirms. Every screen in O'Hare International Airport turns red simultaneously. The departure boards, the check-in kiosks, the gate displays. The same message appears. System locked. Executive authorization required. All operations suspended. The ambient noise of the airport stops. An eerie silence falls. Then the automated announcement begins. Attention all passengers and personnel. Global Wings operations are suspended pending executive review. Tom Richards' phone explodes with calls. Brad's tablet shows nothing but red. Janet's computer freezes mid-keystroke. What's happening? Brad's voice cracks with genuine fear now. Keisha stands. You activated the Washington Protocol, Brad, a system I designed to prevent exactly what you just did. When a board member experiences discrimination, they can freeze the entire network. That's impossible. You can't be. I own 15% of this airline, Brad. Not metaphorically, literally. Meridian Capital's stake makes me the second largest individual shareholder. David Hartley appears, having run from the VIP lounge. His Armani suit is disheveled, his face flushed. He pushes through the crowd until he reaches Kesha Washington. He doesn't kneel. That would be theater. Instead, he bows deeply, formally, the way his Japanese partners taught him respect is shown. Ms. Washington, I am beyond mortified. There are no words adequate for this failure. Try, Keisha suggests, her voice steady but tired. This is inexcusable. The Washington Protocol was supposed to prevent this exact situation. The fact that it happened to you, the very architect of the system, meant to stop it. He trails off. Your protocol failed, David, at your own gate, by your own employees. She holds up the torn ticket pieces. Your system is so broken that even board members aren't safe. What chance does an ordinary passenger have? The crowd presses closer. Every phone is recording. CNN is now live. The story spreads across social media like wildfire. Washington Protocol trends worldwide. Brad finally understands the magnitude of his mistake. His face crumbles. I didn't know. That's exactly the point, Brad. You didn't know, so you assumed. You assumed I didn't belong. You assumed I was lying. You assumed you had the right to humiliate me. Janet Hayes steps forward, tears streaming. Ms. Washington, I'm so sorry. This morning my son faced discrimination, and I took it out on you. I became the very thing I hate. It's not an excuse, but it's human. Keisha nods slightly. Acknowledgement, not forgiveness. What happens next? David asks. Keisha looks at the crowd, at Tasha still streaming, at Marcus Coleman nodding support, at the hundreds of witnesses. What happens next is justice, not the quiet kind that happens in boardrooms, the loud kind, the public kind, the kind that changes things. She raises her voice so everyone can hear. Starting now, Global Wings will become the example. Either of how to fix systemic discrimination or how to go bankrupt trying to defend it. Your choice, David. Station Director Barbara Collins arrives like cavalry that's too late. She's 62, 3 years from retirement, and has seen enough to know when a career is ending. Ms. Washington! She pushes past everyone until she's standing before Keisha. I am so deeply sorry. She wheels on Brad, Janet, and Tom with controlled fury. Do you understand what you've done? This is Keisha Washington, board member, the architect of the Washington Protocol, the woman whose proposal would have made Global Wings the industry leader in passenger rights. Would have? David Hartley catches the past tense. Keisha opens the Forbes app on her phone, holds it up. Her face fills the screen beneath the headline. The Woman Revolutionizing Airline Accountability. How Keisha Washington Went from Victim to Victor. Read it, Brad, she says quietly. Read it out loud. Brad's hands shake as he takes the phone. His voice breaks on every word. Keisha Washington doesn't just fly first class anymore. She owns the planes. After years of being questioned, searched, and humiliated by airline staff who couldn't believe a black woman belonged in premium cabins, Washington used her position as COO of Meridian Capital to acquire major stakes in 4 major airlines. The phone slips from his numb fingers. But then something unexpected happens. Brad Morrison, the man who started all this, drops to his knees. Not in submission, but in genuine realization. Oh God. Oh my God. I'm one of them. I'm one of the people you bought the airlines to stop. His voice breaks completely. My daughter is mixed race. What have I been teaching her? What kind of world am I leaving her? It's not theater. It's a man finally seeing himself clearly, and the view is devastating. Janet Hayes steps forward. Ms. Washington, I need to confess something. This morning, my son faced discrimination at his law school interview. They told him his background wasn't quite right, despite his grades. And when I saw you, successful, confident, I projected my anger onto you. I became the oppressor because I couldn't fight the oppression my son faced. These aren't excuses. They're humans revealing how discrimination perpetuates itself, how hurt people hurt people. Tom Richards adds quietly, I'm going through a custody battle. My ex-wife says I'm teaching our kids prejudice. I said she was crazy, but she was right, wasn't she? I just proved her right. Keisha looks at these 3 broken people. She could destroy them completely. She has every right. But something shifts in her expression. You want to know the real tragedy? You're not monsters. You're ordinary people who let prejudice become normal. That's what makes this system so insidious. It doesn't require evil people, just compliant ones. She turns to David. Executive Order 1. Brad Morrison, Janet Hayes, and Tom Richards are suspended pending investigation. Brad looks up, confused. Not terminated? Terminated means you learn nothing, and someone else takes your place who makes the same mistakes. Suspended means you face what you did. If the investigation shows this was pattern behavior, you're gone. If it shows this was a moment of failure in otherwise acceptable service, you'll undergo intensive retraining. Why? Janet asks. Why show mercy? Because the system needs reformation, not just revenge. But make no mistake, this is your last chance, not just at Global Wings, in this industry. She continues, Executive Order 2. Every Global Wings employee undergoes mandatory bias recognition training within 90 days. Failure to complete it means termination. Executive Order 3. AI monitoring at every customer touchpoint with a twist. It monitors employees, not passengers. Any pattern of discrimination gets flagged immediately. Executive Order 4. The creation of a passenger advocate position at every airport with direct line to executive management, someone who can intervene before situations escalate. Executive Order 5. Full transparency. Every discrimination complaint gets published quarterly. No NDAs. No buried reports. David nods. The board will approve everything. They will. Because if they don't, I'll not only dump my stake, I'll ensure every major institutional investor knows why. Your stock won't just drop, it'll crater. Barbara Collins steps forward. What about the 73 previous complaints against Brad? Everyone turns. Brad goes white. What complaints? Barbara pulls up the files on her tablet. 73 complaints over 15 years, all from passengers of color, all dismissed by HR as misunderstandings or standard procedure. Brad's final defense crumbles. I never saw them as discrimination. I thought I was just doing my job. That's the problem, Brad. Discrimination became your job, and you never questioned it. The live stream comments are divided now. Some call for Brad's immediate firing. Others see a man genuinely confronting his prejudices for the first time. Tasha Williams asks the question everyone's thinking. Ms. Washington, can people like Brad really change? Keisha considers carefully. I don't know. But if we don't give them the chance to try, if we don't show them how to change, then we're just playing whack-a-mole with prejudice. Fire one Brad, another takes his place. But reform one Brad, truly reform him, and maybe he reforms others. She looks directly at Brad. You have 90 days. Prove me right or prove me wrong. But know this, the whole world is watching. Security doesn't escort Brad Morrison out. Instead, he walks on his own, each step heavy with realization. His Global Wings badge remains active, for now. The magnetic strip that would have been deactivated immediately instead becomes a 90-day countdown to redemption or ruin. I need to call my daughter, Brad says quietly. I need to tell her what I did, what I've been. Keisha nods. That's a start. Janet Hayes removes her supervisor lanyard and hands it to Barbara Collins. I'll take whatever retraining you require, but I also want to volunteer. With organizations fighting discrimination, I need to understand how I became what I swore I'd never be. Tom Richards adds, I'll testify at the custody hearing. Tell the judge my ex-wife was right. Maybe losing my kids for being a bigot will finally teach me not to be one. These aren't hollow promises. The crowd, and the millions watching online, will hold them accountable. Barbara Collins addresses the remaining Global Wings staff. Everyone here has a choice. We can pretend this was an isolated incident, or we can admit our system is broken and fix it. Starting now. She turns to the crowd. Gate C24 will board in 30 minutes. Any passenger who experienced discrimination today will be upgraded to first class, complimentary. Any employee who participated in or witnessed discrimination without intervening will be noted in their file. David Hartley's phone rings constantly. Other airline CEOs want to know what's happening. He ignores them all, instead addressing the crowd directly. What happened here today is a failure of leadership. My leadership. I created a culture where Brad Morrison felt comfortable tearing up a black woman's ticket, where Janet Hayes felt empowered to support him, where Tom Richards felt justified in dismissing concerns. He looks at Keisha. The Washington Protocol isn't just policy anymore. It's survival. Global Wings will either become the most inclusive airline in the world or will cease to exist. There's no middle ground. Marcus Coleman approaches Keisha. Ms. Washington, I manage a fund that focuses on ethical investments. We'd like to support this initiative. Not with money, Keisha responds. With accountability. Create a passenger review board, independent of the airlines, with real power to investigate and penalize. Others step forward. A tech CEO offers AI monitoring systems at cost. A senator promises congressional hearings. A documentary filmmaker asks for rights to tell this story. Tell it, Keisha agrees. But tell all of it. Not just my vindication. Tell Brad's breakdown. Tell Janet's confession. Tell Tom's recognition. Show people that discrimination isn't about monsters. It's about ordinary people making monstrous choices. Tasha Williams, still streaming to 90,000 viewers, asks, "What happens to the torn ticket?" Keisha holds up the pieces. These go to the Smithsonian. But first, they go to Global Wing's headquarters, framed in the lobby. A reminder that dignity can be torn but not destroyed. Barbara pulls up Global Wing's internal system. "I'm seeing those 73 complaints against Brad. Should I contact the passengers?" "Everyone, apologize, offer compensation, but more importantly, offer validation. Tell them they were right. They were discriminated against. Their experiences were real." Brad, who hasn't left yet, turns back. Can I apologize to them personally? That's not my decision. It's theirs. But you can offer. The system that protected Brad Morrison for 15 years changes in 15 minutes. Every complaint gets reopened. Every dismissed concern gets reviewed. Every misunderstanding gets properly understood. Mike Turner, the security officer who tried to intervene, steps forward. "Ms. Washington, I should have done more. Stopped it sooner." "You did what you could within a broken system. Help us fix the system so next time you can do more." Rodriguez adds, "I want to be part of the solution. Train other security personnel. Teach them to see discrimination, not just assume protocol." The crowd begins to disperse, but the energy remains electric. Everyone who witnessed this will carry it forward. Everyone who watched online will demand better from every airline, every business, every interaction. Within an hour, #Washington Protocol trends globally. United, Delta, and American Airlines announce emergency board meetings. The Department of Transportation opens an investigation into discriminatory practices across all U.S. carriers. But right now, in this moment, Kesha Washington stands holding torn pieces of her boarding pass, evidence that will build something better. Flight 007 to Washington, D.C. is now ready for boarding, the announcement echoes. Barbara Collins hands Keisha a new ticket. "First class, Ms. Washington. As purchased." "As earned," Keisha corrects. "As deserved. As human right, not privilege granted." She walks toward the gate, where a new agent stands. The young woman, Maria, smiles genuinely. "Good evening, Ms. Washington. Welcome aboard. And thank you. My sister was one of Brad's 73 complaints. You just validated 3 years of her pain." For the first time in 47 minutes, Keisha's control breaks. A single tear falls. "Tell your sister she was always believed. By someone. Even if that someone was silent too long." She boards the plane, not as a victim vindicated, but as a catalyst for change. Behind her, Brad Morrison sits in the gate area, calling his daughter, beginning the hardest conversation of his life. Janet Hayes opens her laptop, researching anti-discrimination organizations. Tom Richards texts his ex-wife, "You were right. I'm getting help." The revolution doesn't end with revenge. It begins with recognition, continues with reform, and succeeds only when today's perpetrators become tomorrow's preventers. 48 hours later, the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation convenes an emergency session. Keisha Washington sits before them, the torn boarding pass pieces now preserved between sheets of museum-quality glass. These 4 pieces of paper represent millions of torn dreams, but also they represent hope, because Brad Morrison, the man who tore them, is sitting behind me, not as my enemy, but as Exhibit A in how people can change. The senators look confused. Brad sits in the gallery, his face gaunt from 2 sleepless nights of self-examination. Senator Patricia Mills leans forward. "Ms. Washington, this man discriminated against you. Why is he here?" "Because, Senator, firing Brad would have been easy. Teaching Brad, that's hard. And if we only do what's easy, nothing really changes." She pulls up her tablet. In 48 hours, Brad Morrison has personally called all 73 passengers he discriminated against. 61 have accepted his apology. 12 have not, which is their right. He's enrolled in a degree program in social justice. He's volunteering at an organization that helps victims of discrimination. Is he fixed? No. Is he trying? Yes. Brad stands when recognized. "Senators, I was a racist. Not the kind that burns crosses, but the kind that tears tickets. The subtle kind. The dangerous kind. The kind that thinks they're just doing their job. I'm here to tell you that your airports are full of me, and they all need what I'm getting, a chance to confront who they really are." 1 week later, Global Wings headquarters has transformed. The executive bathroom becomes the Equality Room, open to all employees. The executive elevator is reprogrammed to stop at every floor. David Hartley moves his office from the top floor to the ground level, visible to all. Every morning at 8 a.m., Global Wings employees gather for the recognition. But it's not just discrimination stories now. It's also redemption stories. Janet Hayes leads the session. "Today, I want to share how a passenger helped me see my prejudice. An elderly white man, of all people, pulled me aside after the incident and said, 'Young lady, I'm 90 years old. I spent most of my life being like you. Don't waste as much time as I did.' The torn boarding pass sits in the lobby, but it's no longer alone. Employees have started bringing their own artifacts of discrimination, both given and received. The wall becomes a mosaic of confronted prejudice. Tom Richards keeps his job, but under strict conditions. He must attend therapy. He must document his progress. He must mentor other employees showing prejudice patterns. His ex-wife, shocked by his transformation, agrees to supervised visitation with their kids. "I'm teaching them what not to be," he tells the custody judge, "by showing them who I was and who I'm becoming." 1 month later, the International Air Transport Association holds an emergency summit. But instead of just CEOs, they invite the reformed. Brad Morrison speaks to a room of executives who shift uncomfortably in their seats. "I see myself in your discomfort," he tells them. "You're wondering if your Brad Morrisons are tearing tickets right now. They are. The question is, will you stop them, or will you wait until someone like Keisha Washington stops you?" The Washington Institute launches with unexpected funding, Brad Morrison's mortgage. He sold his house, moved to a small apartment, and donated the equity. "It doesn't undo what I did," he explains. "But maybe it prevents someone else from doing it." Janet Hayes coordinates volunteers. Tom Richards processes applications for aid. The perpetrators becoming preventers, as Keisha predicted. 3 months later, Global Wings releases its first transparency report. The numbers are staggering. 3,847 discrimination complaints in the previous year, only 23 investigated. Since the Washington Protocol, 428 complaints, all investigated, 387 confirmed.